Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right this second. Tell your friends about this channel. Let's get to over 200,000 subs. To my viewers who have stuck by me since 2015 and since, the past couple of weeks, I just want to thank you. I know that this is a very difficult time for a great many supporters of President Trump. It's a difficult time for the country. Not because of Trump, not because of you, because of very apoplectic, hysterical, fanatical, completely disingenuous and duplicitous people within media conglomerates that sow division, that engage in only hyperbolic and just the most extreme type of analysis. Everything is President Trump's fault. It's always been Trump's fault for the past 4 years. Nothing he did from record low unemployment, no accomplishment from record low unemployment to being the first president to step foot in North Korea, to allocating more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever, to presiding over peace deals in regions of the world that haven't seen such peace negotiations in a long time. Every single, from renegotiating the NAFTA into the USMCA to tearing apart the Trans-Pacific Partnership, these are all good things. Going up against very corrupt intelligence operatives that set him up and framed him, he did so without the help of the Republican Party. Mike Pence, Mitch McConnell, Jeff Sessions, at times William Barr, politically stabbed him politically in the back. Hit subscribe to this channel. I'm going to give you, in this segment, a roadmap or some strategies to regain political power. President Trump alluded to a 2024 run. It's not just me saying that's going to happen. Donald Trump's statement implies 2024 run. This is January 7th. Okay, today it's still January 7th, 2021. Donald Trump's statement implies 2024 run. Newsweek. There's nobody who can touch President Trump within the Republican Party. But we've lost the media battle. So the same things that took place, let's say President Trump wins again in 2024. The same things that took place the past 4 years will take place again. Republicans were basically like leeches off of President Trump. They tried to derive every single positive benefit while giving him nothing. It was not a symbiotic relationship. It was a very unhealthy relationship based on what can we gain from Trump while investigating him. Jeff Sessions investigated, a Republican attorney general investigated a Republican president based on gossip and hearsay from James Comey and his memos and a Steele dossier. That should tell you something about what took place in the past 4 years. Then they impeached him on an ellipsis. Now they want to impeach him again. Now they want to utilize the 25th Amendment. Everything was his fault. He incited and he egged on people and he did this and that. It's always his words. They obsessed over his every single press conference, whether it was Helsinki with Putin. Oh my God, this is a day that'll live in infamy. These people engaged in the most absurd, dangerous hyperbole. And CNN, MSNBC, the Washington Post, and the New York Times should be ashamed of themselves, but they've created what they set out to create, somebody that doesn't exist. How the image of Trump that they've created does not exist. Trump was a fantastic president overall. 74 million supporters of President Trump voted for him. He completely energized the Republican Party. Nobody's going to go to rallies to listen to Mitt Romney or Ben Sasse. You might as well listen to Pelosi or Schumer. They're the same two sides of the same coin. But hit subscribe to this channel because I'm going to explain, number one, you need to win the media battle for the next 4 years. Number two, you need to do away with any notion that Mitt Romney or Ben Sasse or Mike Pence will save the Republican Party. The Republican Party simply needs to actually become more of a party that President Trump needs to actually further its transformation into a populist party that Trump created. Republicans are the only reason they had the Senate and they had the House in 2016 was because of Trump, the energy that Trump brought. The only reason they had the presidency the past 4 years was Trump. The only reason we didn't have 4 years of Clinton, which would have been a catastrophe, an absolute catastrophe, because there's nothing like President Trump did not preside over these apocalyptic events. If you want to talk about yesterday, then let's talk about the past 6 months with over $1 billion in property damage. But see, again, the media battle needs to be won. There needs to be a greater emphasis on whether it's Newsmax or Fox News needs to actually step up to the plate. You need to read publications like The Federalist, The Daily Caller, The National Review. I mean, National Review, there's a lot of Never Trump people, but still, it's a conservative publication that you should... I mean, I'm not even really conservative on everything. I'm not a Republican. I support President Trump. But you need to elevate conservative media. You need to elevate the channels that whether, I mean, there's a whole bunch of channels. Brandon Tatum, Anthony Bryan Logan, Kevin's Corner, Jericho Green, Mark Dice, Steven Crowder, Tim Pool. He's not a conservative, but he's like a national treasure. And I say this like not being, not trying to, kiss anyone's behind. But Tim Pool is amazing. You need to elevate journalists like Ian Miles Chong, Andy Ngo, and Tim Pool. Those three are three of the best journalists in the country. Andy Ngo and Ian Miles Chong are more conservative. But I mean, there's so many. I mean, Candace Owens, Dan Bongino, Sarah Carter, John Solomon. Just the News is a publication that you should read. There needs to be a counter to the media narrative. I said there has to be. HB is on another platform, BitChute. He's fantastic. You have to. Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell are great, but you have to take information with a grain of salt sometimes. Not everything everyone says is entirely accurate, even if what they're doing politically makes sense in the long run or is actually good in the long term. So you have to win the media battle. It's very important. That's the way President Trump can come back. And you can't be like you can't have this cognitive dissonance. And you certainly can't listen to message boards. Okay, the whole Q thing was a catastrophe that almost certainly, I'm telling you, was started by a Democratic operative. And I understand the psychology behind it. I exposed it 2 years ago, and I called it dangerous in a debate, and I exposed it with in a debate with Jordan Sather. You can watch it on hagoodman.com. You can read my writing in The Federalist, The Daily Caller, The Hill, Salon, The Huffington Post, The Jerusalem Post. See my debates there. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below and within my website. But I mean, there are that you have to support your favorite YouTube channels. Okay? And I'm not saying just support my channel. I'm talking about elevate the voices that you find interesting, that can counter the media narrative from the left. Because they're just completely the most... They've lost any semblance of logic. President Trump never banned a religion. They're saying that he did. They're lying. Even the fact-checking organizations say, yeah, he never did. Trump never said that 1930s and 1940s Germans were fine people. That was a lie perpetuated by left-leaning publications. And there was no pushback from people like Ben Sasse and Mitt Romney, so he was all on his own. The Federalist is a fantastic publication. The Daily Caller is fantastic. Like I said, the National Review, Just the News. Sarah Carter is an amazing journalist. John Solomon, Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch. I said Dan Bongino. You just have to. There needs to be a counter to the media narrative created and perpetuated by Democrats, liberals, and the left. There has to be a narrative. And I'm not even worried about the far left, because they're not going to get, there's some really good people on the far left, but they're not going to get any of the policies they want from Biden. And if anything, the worst thing to happen to the far left is Biden. But see, again, they don't understand that concept, and they're stuck in this matrix of their own. You have to find a way to elevate the voices and amplify the accomplishments of President Trump. These past 4 years, the majority of the past 4 years have been fantastic, really. It's been the really insane reaction, this psychosis that's taken place because people watch the propaganda every single day and they say Trump is to blame, Trump is to blame. He's the scapegoat for everything that took place. Whereas President Obama, no, you can't ever accuse or Biden. You couldn't even say anything about Biden. And there's not only suppression of thought, but there's suppression of emotion. You can't even be suspicious. We have to overcome that as well. There has to be a way, and I don't have the answer right now, to overcome the extreme media bias against President Trump. And if you watch this channel, I'm going to address that issue. But there are really, like I said, like Ian Miles Chong and Tim Pool, these are fantastic journalists. But now that you've done that, you have to elevate the voices of politicians like Devin Nunes, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, Rand Paul, Ron Johnson. That's the only way we rebound and come back in 2022. And we will. We will. I hope and pray that Biden does a good job as president. I can tell you, though, I'm not expecting much, and I'm expecting media to cover up every failed policy and every controversy and every scandal that they would have, shouted out and cried about with this phony fake indignation that they've done the past 4 years, if it were Trump. The next 4 years is going to be Biden, who knows what, it's going to be like Weekend at Biden's. The exhumed body is going to be leading this country. And he's going to be propped up the same way he was propped up. This whole thing has been, it's been the theatrical performance, the same theatrical performance that I've been telling you about. Except the actors won. Okay, Trump puts his emotion, and President Trump, one of the issues, in addition to elevating and amplifying conservative media, or at least some kind of, Charlie Kirk is great. There's a lot of people, you need to amplify conservative media, elevate those voices, and elevate the voices of politicians who supported President Trump, Mike Kelly, for example. But you need to, I think that President Trump needs to look in the mirror also and say, okay, what could I have done to combat this onslaught? Okay? President Trump has been a fantastic president, the best president of my lifetime, but God bless him, he's utterly incapable of dealing with people like what's his name from Axios? Or or Leslie Stahl, 60, he needs to, in the next 4 years, get some, have some coaches train him to deal with liberal journalists that just want to undermine him and eviscerate him and disparage him, but be able to deal with their petulance in a diplomatic manner. The same, the journalists elevate the politicians they like, and they try to tear apart the politicians they don't like, which is journalists have become extensions. They're activists for the Democratic Party. They're not really, there is no objective media anymore. And it's become really unfortunate. Like our society now, you can't even enjoy a movie or a football game or whatever, or any type of event. Everything is tied to a political side now, and that's because Democrats lost in 2016. It wasn't like that before 2016. When Colin Kaepernick first did what he did, he got zero support from President Obama and Democrats. Then when Trump came in, then it was a Democratic cause. You're talking about the height of duplicity. But again, President Trump needs to really show who he is to an audience that has created a Trump of their own. He needs to, every month, every week if he can, I mean, assuming that he wants to run again, and I think he does, but every week he has to say, okay, let's go ahead, let's have, I'll do a 60 minutes interview. Then they're going to come at him with, the pandemic and this, and you failed to do this, and you failed to do that. And then you could say, you could simply respond, hey, you know what? The same Bandini that they give, that's a good point, but you have to understand, we tried our best, but there was also, Andrew Cuomo didn't do the job that he was supposed to do. Phil Murphy didn't do the job that he was supposed to do. But we were able to achieve X, Y, and Z, and this is what we were able to do. And even if they slice and dice it, he puts the whole interview up on his YouTube channel. And you might say, well, it doesn't matter. They're still going to... It matters. You have to win the media battle, and we've lost the media battle. Okay, then there's the issue with the intelligence operatives and the Durham probe. There needs to be political will within the Durham probe. There needs to be a special counsel on Caligula, Biden's son. President Trump needs to, he must, and he needs to pardon Julian Assange. That's probably one of the things they're really frightened about on the left or the Democratic Party. These are the sacred cows that they worship, the Democrats. Intelligence operatives, except when it's John Radcliffe, except when it's see, they worship government except when government is run by Trump. They worship media except when media is conservative. They don't have an actual stable or set value system. They're the definition of hypocrites. So people can say what they like about me, but I was on the left and I said, nah, I'm just going to vote for Bernie Sanders. I don't care if Democrats lose. I wasn't tied to a political party. And then when I found out Bernie Sanders was a phony who didn't want to really bring home Americans, I said, well, Trump is actually a great president. And look at this record low unemployment, and he wants to reverse U.S. foreign policy, so I supported President Trump. I'm not wedded or tied to a political party. But you have people who their lives are defined by politics, more so now than ever before. You have to actually reach those people in a way. I know that people are going to say, no, that's not true, but President Trump needs to reach those people. 2022, just in terms of history, goes to the Republicans get the House. And if they adopt a Trump philosophy on politics, or Trump's philosophy on politics, a populist philosophy where they're anti-interventionist, anti-regime change, they're okay with tariffs, and they focus on things like the prison reform legislation, like the President Trump signed, focus on peace deals, economic growth. That's the populist message that President Trump was able to, or a political party that President Trump was able to create. 90% approval rating is there for a reason, but he can actually rebound politically. He actually won the election. Like Nixon and other people, they lost continuously and then eventually became president. The way people are looking at this is that like Trump lost while actually becoming president won. That's not true. He won. He can build off of this. Ossoff lost like continuously, and then because Republicans are so horrendous and inept in Georgia, he'll probably win, or he's won, or it's still up in the air. But you need to focus on ways to win. This stuff with like, oh, I'm unsubscribing because he didn't concede, and you know what? I don't really care what the word is. We're going to have 4 years of Biden. Am I happy? No. Are you happy? No. Why take it out on me? I didn't do it. You know, Ben Sass and Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan and Richard Burr and all those people have a lot more to do with it than me. I didn't. I supported the president. So those are some things. Those are some obstacles that we face. You know, nobody calls out the left or Democrats on their insanity when it comes to hyperbole. You know, and that's a bad thing. That's an obstacle we need to face. We need to do a better job in terms of media, because the media has won this round, and we need to do a better job in terms of like countering their phony and fake emotions when it comes to indignation pertaining to Trump, because they don't have the same indignation when cities are set ablaze from the peaceful yet fiery protests. Anyway, we can go on forever. I mean, the most important issue that I'm not going to spend too long on now is making sure that Ben Sass and Mitt Romney politically don't have their viewpoint overshadow Trump's accomplishments, or like there's going to be an ideological battle. The establishment, more Republican in the name of the rhinos, the never Trumpers are going to say, you see, Trump ruined us, and they'd barely get more people than Biden if they were to speak at a rally. You need to make sure that the 90% approval rating leads to a movement that grows, where President Trump can come back and completely continue to try to revamp American politics and transform American politics. The pandemic, for example, was not Trump's fault. He did the best he could. Biden couldn't do any better, because look at what Cuomo and Phil Murphy did. And God bless the people of New York and New Jersey, but New York and New Jersey are like the epicenter of the pandemic, and they're run almost virtually all by Democrats. And you have Democratic states have the worst outcomes. It's not Trump's fault. But you don't get this. You don't get this. I mean, are there things that President Trump could have done better? Sure. Could he have been more diplomatic? Sure. I mean, there are things that he could have done better. But the next 4 years, we have to just build on our accomplishments. And then there's the issue of 2024. People say, well, we'll never have a fair... well, you know what? Make sure you address the issues from the affidavits and from Peter Navarro's report. Investigate them. You need investigations. This is a roadmap I'm giving you. I know that people are going to say, oh, all is lost. No, this is just the beginning, like President Trump said. Pence and McConnell and a lot of the Republicans stabbed him and betrayed him politically. You need to make sure that the Republican Party stands with President Trump for the next 4 years. This is just the beginning, people. We'll have 4 years of Biden, and we can have 4 years of President Trump again. But Grover Cleveland was the only president to have non-consecutive terms. He was the 22nd and 24th president. Give me your thoughts below. Get this segment viral, people. And tell your friends to subscribe to this channel. Thank you so very much.